And today I want to bring to the stage our next presenter, Sandra Smith. And we all know Sandra Smith hails from the UK, but now she's currently in Jamaica, living her best life. And her topic today is transforming trauma into triumph. Sandra is an Amazon #1 best-selling author. She's a speaker, career coach, and life coach. And she's also a public sector mediator with over 20 years of experience. Sandra survived a cohesive and controlling relationship. She broke free from the invisible chains, emotional scars, and the effects of the financial abuse. Today, Sandra helps women and men find solutions and to rebuild their lives with confidence. Her topic today again is transforming trauma into triumph. Let's welcome Sandra Smith to our virtual stage.
Thank you very much, Diane, Olga, and thank you all for being here, because we all had a choice this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are, or this evening. And we had a beautiful start in relation to the poem from Mother Miranda. And then Laura Marie shared some meditation and some tools, and that was further enhanced by what Sasa Bilio's just shared with us. So just to get you in the mood, and I'm not sure whether or not mood is the right word, but I'm going to use it anyway, just to get you in the mood. Just do a bit of, move your shoulder muscles, just get yourself relaxed in your seat, because I'm going to be speaking for the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes. There will be opportunities for you to ask questions. I'll say, please put them in the chat if you're not able to do so. I'll leave time at the end for you to share your thoughts in person if you choose to do so. So for me, I'm going to share my screen. So for me, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sandra Smith. So my presentation today is going to give you an opportunity to know more about me. And you'll understand how I managed to transform my trauma into triumph. So I'd like you first, just a quick 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Imagine a life where you're free from trauma's grip and living in your power. I would say that transformation is in your reach. It's in my reach. It's in our reach. And if it's something that you feel and know is within you, and I would say that it is within you, I'm sharing a copy of my ebook, which you'll get after this presentation at the end of, once the videos are shared. And I know Diane and Olga are working in the background just to ensure and make that happen. But I'll also offer a discovery call to the first 3 people who do reach out. The QR code that's there, you can use that in order to view my website. But what I'd ask you to do is not to press pause, not to now take this opportunity, because you've listened to 2 beautiful speakers. You've had the poem, like I said. Do not take this opportunity to go away and get yourself a drink, or to switch off, as Sally was saying, in terms of the distractions. Your transformation continues today. So what's my story? Why does it matter? Why should it matter? I was, as that image shows, the frog in slow boiling water. So my journey to triumph started with acknowledging the pain. Because as that frog in slow boiling water, I didn't know. I didn't pay attention. My gut was telling me something. My intuition was telling me something. And I knew instinctively that what was happening was not right. And that was only over a 14-month period. In the other person's eyes, I saw hate, disdain, disgust, mockery. But I ignored those whispers of infinite intelligence. I knew that there was something wrong. So I saw the flags. I saw the elephant in the room. It wasn't in the corner of the room. It was sitting on my lap, but I ignored it. And I couldn't put my finger on it. So as a survivor of the coercive, controlling relationship, I reclaimed my life. And that, for me, was taking control and the necessary steps to rebuild my future. First, I needed to recognize it. And I know when I went to the various lawyers after I'd left that relationship, there wasn't a name and or a title. There is now a name from 2020, 2014, a name, and it's in English legislation called coercive control. And it's a form of an emotional abuse that insidiously, and I'll say that again, insidiously undermines a person's autonomy. But what does that look like? So for me, it was isolation. I knew someone for 14 months, but I never met anyone. I never met any of their friends. I never met any of their family. And they claimed to have both. My family, my friends, which were numerous, it was almost like I was dropping them daily and I didn't realize it. My phone that was forever buzzing, it was a distraction. Yeah, let's be fair, it was a distraction. But there were no more happy birthday, no more what are you doing, how are you doing. There was nothing. So that isolation was a slow, silent creep. Gaslighting, a situation whereby I didn't even know what gaslighting was until when I came out of the relationship. So examples that kept me off my guard and didn't allow me to see the elephant that was sitting on my lap was simple things such as we've all got a fridge, freezer. You buy your groceries, you put them away. You know where you put them. You may have a certain shelf that you'll put the milk on a certain shelf. You put the chicken in a certain compartment. You put your veg in a certain compartment. That's how I lived. But when I was not at home and he was at home, these things would move as if by magic. So by the time I got in and said, okay, what are we having for dinner? The chicken wasn't where I'd put it. The fish wasn't where I'd put it. Things were moved. My clothes wasn't where I'd put it. And all that was done purposely to keep me off my guard. There were intimidating tactics and threats that were used to control me. And I'd laugh it off, or I'd say, oh, well, we're in the throngs of a new relationship. It was me and you against the world. But it was being used against me. It was being used to control me. There was a misuse of my money. By the end of the relationship, I was a couple of years after, I was £140,000 worse off than before I'd met him. That's not including the money that was spent during those 14 months. So there was a lot happening to me. And one of the things that I realized when I think about listening to my gut that I could no longer ignore, the intuition that I could no longer ignore. I needed to reach out. And I did reach out to those I'd stopped speaking to. I did it slowly because I was ashamed. There was a conversation going on in my head, but I pushed on. In starting to change the words and the comments that are happening in my head, I came across a poem. And I know that Mother Miranda started with a poem, but I'm going to share this poem by Abdullah Shohab. It's called Pretty Ugly. So you may or you may not have heard it before, but it literally helped put into words what I was going through at that time. So the poem starts with, I'm very ugly. So don't try to convince me that I'm a beautiful person. Because at the end of the day, I hate myself in every single way. And I'm not going to lie to myself by saying there's beauty inside of me that matters. So rest assured, I'll remind myself that I am worthless, terrible person, and nothing you say will make me believe I still deserve love. Because no matter what, I'm not good enough to be loved. And I'm in no position to believe that beauty does exist within me. Because whenever I look in the mirror, I always think, am I as ugly as people say? So the poem demonstrates my self-talk. I'm going to read the poem again. And this is the beauty of the poem, because it shows the change and how words have meaning, and words and what we say about ourselves do matter. So I'm going to read the poem again. Am I as ugly as people say? Because whenever I look in the mirror, I always think beauty does exist within me. And I'm in no position to believe that I'm not good enough to be loved. Because no matter what, I still deserve love. And nothing you say will make me believe that I am a worthless, terrible person. So rest assured, I will remind myself there is beauty inside of me that matters. And I'm not going to lie to myself by saying I hate myself in every single way. Because at the end of the day, I am a beautiful person. So don't try to convince me that I'm very ugly. So that poem, and I can see that someone put in the chat that's powerful. It is. It just encapsulates what I was going through and the change that I went through. So as I was making the changes, I needed to speak my truth. And I know I've heard before, and you may have heard before, that saying, don't die with that song still inside of you. We've all got a story, and it's important that we share our stories, because what I realized, I wasn't alone. There were others, and there are others, and I don't know if anyone listening here, whether or not it's something that you've experienced yourself. Some of those hints, some of those words in terms of the coercive controlling relationship, what it looks like, whether or not you've experienced it yourself or you know somebody else. But in sharing my story, and I've written my story within the anthology with Les Brown and James McNeil. in the book, My Time. I've taken out that chapter and I've added to it. And those of you who are here today can get a copy of that. That's my gift to you. But I've added to that again. And I'm going to be publishing my own book, adding to the information, because life is a journey. And as we go through our experiences, we will experience different things that are worth sharing with others, that others need to hear, others need to know. So what's the impact of the trauma? So for me, before I could move on, I needed to understand the trauma. So it was distressing. It was overwhelming. It stopped me in my tracks, leaving me feeling helpless, disconnected from my friends, with my family. And I was unable to fully engage in life. And work was my one thing that I had that I was holding on to during that 14 months that was remaining stable. And even work, there was an impact because of what was happening in my head. I wasn't sleeping. I'd gone to the doctor and found myself crying. Me, Sandra, crying. Yeah, crying in front of the doctor. Not understanding why, what's happening to me. Sleeping wasn't something that I looked forward to. Depression and pills was something that I had to take and chose to take in order to change and help to manage my emotional mindset. But I wanted to end it. I wanted to end that trauma. There was a necessity to overcome for my personal growth. And in overcoming it, I've reclaimed my autonomy. I've reshaped my narrative. And I know Sasabilia mentioned in terms of boundaries. I've broken free from that victimhood and I've put up boundaries against those and reclaimed and opened some other boundaries that had been put up inadvertently because whilst I was in that relationship. Healing has taken place from that trauma, whereby I do have a heightened sense of self-awareness. I can catch myself when I'm doing that negative self-talk. It's almost like catching a ball. I can physically catch it and throw it to one side. I can stop myself mid-sentence and think, hang on a minute, is that what I'm meaning to say? Is that what I'm telling myself? I've emerged stronger. And I know that my cousin recently said to me, we were talking and she said something and I thought to myself, I am stronger as a result of those 14 months, which at the time seemed like hell. I lived a living hell. My resilience and ability, I'm in Jamaica, and at one point I would never have said I would live in Jamaica, but I've been here and the UK is now my holiday home. But how have I grown that resilience? How have I moved beyond? Because there was personal growth as a result of the healing. So there are coping strategies, there are techniques that I've used. And some of them you've heard already in terms of from our earlier speakers, in so much as Laura Marie spoke about the breathing. Sasabilia spoke about the mindset. So I've found a number of supportive environments. Some of those supportive environments came as a result of me understanding and enhancing my financial education. Other supportive environments came about because, and I'll just out of curiosity, I'll ask you to put up your hands. How often have you gone into a shop or you've taken it off of the internet, because that's what we tend to do now, you've bought one of those self-help books? Now, I know that we're at the beginning of the year and there are a lot of things in terms of New Year's resolutions. How often have you bought one of those self-help books and done nothing with it? You've just allowed it just to become another beautiful book on your bookshelf or in your Kindle. I would encourage you. And what happened to me was that I stopped just buying those books. I started to read those books. I joined and got involved with the James McNeil Pure Spiritual Intelligence community as a result of listening to a seminar just like this, at Real Success Summit, and found myself in another community. I've got my friends that I've reconnected with. We call ourselves the ladies who dine. Do we go out a lot and dine? Not as much as we used to. I'm in Jamaica, so they went out a few weeks ago for a birthday and I wasn't able to attend, but I was there spiritually. But it's being around and amongst people who I can speak to, I don't feel ashamed with speaking to, and I'm sharing experiences. And that's what a community can provide you with, those shared experiences. Like I said, for myself, it was a financial empowerment. £140,000 worth of debt meant that from a budgeting point of view, from a financial literacy point of view, I needed to reconnect. I needed to take hold, because society and the banks and the mortgage company, they care, but they don't really care. Let's be honest. What they want is their money. And what they're going to do is they're going to add the interest. So either way, they're going to get their money. I needed to take control to establish my independence. Because what I realized, and the reason why I left him, the final straw that broke the camel's back, I recognized that it was all about the house that had no mortgage before I met him. And within 3 months, there was a mortgage on the house. I'd put his name on the deeds, and he wanted the house, not 50%, not 10%, not 5%. He came and found me with it, and he wanted the house. So I needed to, from using those financial empowerment tools, to regain and establish my independence. We've spoken about mindfulness and self-care practices. Never underestimate the power of those practices, is what I would say. So the next step, I offer a program of support, which is designed for survivors, but it's not only survivors. It's a transformational coaching. It can provide personalized guidance through the challenges and trauma that the recovery will bring up within you. It incorporates one-to-one coaching. It incorporates support, and it will enable you to regain your control and rebuild your life effectively. So the program, if you wish to sign up, there's bonuses in terms of the early sign up. That's additional coaching sessions. I'm organizing a specialized workshop that will be following once the book is published, and I'm aiming to publish it on my mother's Earth Strong. She's no longer with me, but she did tell me to keep my head up. that was one of the shame that I felt. How do I go and tell my mother? What do I say to my mother? But out of that, as they say, the phoenix, it rises. I have risen and I will continue to rise. So you've heard my story. You've heard about the impacts of trauma. You've heard about some steps that you can take. Any comments or thoughts or any questions does anybody have? I'll stop the share so that I can see you. I know that the chat has been going off.
Everyone been saying, Sandra, they love your courage and your comeback, because a lot of time we can get so stuck, you know. So it's really, thank you for sharing your story. And I love what you said about Les Brown. You know, he always talks about the cemetery is the richest place in the world. And that's because we die with the music and the message inside of us. So I really appreciate the time you take to share with us your message and your story. And I get they all will be looking forward to your book and the full book.
The full book's coming out on the 17th. That's my plan for January, because that's my mother's Earth Strong. So I aiming to get it out then. So it's written. It's just the sprinkling the love.
But I thank you so much. So is there anything in the chat? I'll say Olga put in the chat that we would like everyone to join our community, which is Ascend Network. And so which we're going to be sharing so much of these stories on that platform, and for anyone who would like to speak on Ascend Your Path, you could message me. Or also, I think I'll have it there also, email support@utransform360. And we can have you on, to share your message. Open up your throat chakra and let your voice be heard. And what else do we have? Sandra, is there anything else you want to add?
I would say, and this is to everyone, we've all got a message and we've all got a story. Use this platform as an opportunity to move on and move forward. Use this platform as a safe space, because, as I said, we don't need to die with that music still in us. And there is someone else. As much as you're ashamed, you feel that you're the only one, there are others out there who would love to hear that they are also not alone.
Colette Morgan just put in the chat, she had a similar story. And we'll be hearing from Colette next month, February. So yes, so the stories are real. Oftentimes, we put our head down. And kudos to your mom who said, put your head up. Okay, we have two hands up. We have Mother Miranda and then Paul. Mother Miranda.
Thank you very much. Sandra, that was just so powerful. Thank you for the strength of character and for delivering. I think you went to the boundary with that if you play cricket. I want you to share a little more on the statement that you made. When you came to the end, you said, before I could move on, I needed to understand the trauma and its effect. In my mind, I am wondering how that understanding came about. How can people arrive at that understanding in order to make the move for healing?
It's listening to that inner voice, because once you listen to that inner voice, and I know that Laura Marie was speaking about the monkey mind. Listen to that inner voice, give you the opportunity to then not hide in plain sight because I'm not happy. So there was, then it gave me the thought in terms of the courage to start making some of those steps from a healing point of view, to change the narrative. Because if I can see, and you mentioned cricket, you mentioned sport, as long as you know the rules of the game, it's easier to play. But if the rules keep changing, and that's what was happening within that relationship, the rules kept on changing, it then made it difficult for me just to stay focused and ask for help, recognizing help is out there.
I honor you with that. I'll just make a final comment. I had a relationship problem as well. And I remember, yeah, you know, the poster girl, and yeah, you can put yourself together and you can bring off the appearance. And I remember asking the question, do you want me to come with you to the event because you love me? Or is it because you just want me there? Yeah. And so you begin to ask these questions, the flag, when you come to self. So that is so important to open the eyes and to look. So thank you so much for your sharing.
Thank you, Mother Miranda. Now I'm recognized time.
Yes, we have Paul. Welcome now. We just asked for a little bit of grace. This is the first day of the relaunch.
Thank you for the grace. Paul.
Sandra, that was a powerful story. Then you perked me up. I was sitting here and not feeling good, but you perked me up when you said he built his resilience because of personal growth. Can you comment more on that?
I stopped just buying those books or reading or getting involved in communities and walking away, and you take notes, but you do nothing with it. You read the book, but you don't actually do anything with it. There's lots of people out there that will provide little nuggets. My pockets are getting full because of the nuggets I've been collecting, which has helped me build myself up, which has helped me to recognize the trauma for what it was. So it's paying attention to what's out there, the speakers, the gurus, the self-help books, and not just buy them because it literally helps to prop up the bookend, and it looks pretty when you come into the home. You see all of these books. Do something with that information.
The way I interpret it is that when you took the bull by the horn, when you set your mindset, it's all about the right mindset. Your mindset, what mindset is belief in your power, that you can leave him behind and you can establish your own life. Belief is, as James says, a thought with confidence. You started building your personal growth, and this is when everything started happening the way you wanted to. That is the way I interpreted it.
The first thing that I needed to do, which was, I used the word straw that broke the camel's back, was to make that decision to walk away. And that in itself was a belief that was so strong. Bearing in mind, I have to confess, I didn't actually do it face to face. This was a conversation, and he was getting angry over the other end of the phone because he had already gone back home up north, but wanted me to give up everything down south in order to follow him up north. So I felt the power and the courage of my conviction at that point to say, no more. I am not coming up north. It's over. He asked me, what did you say? It's over. What did you say? I can come down and we can have talk. Nope, don't bother come down because it's over. And it was at that point that I had the belief in my conviction. The roller coaster after that was getting other people to believe. So the legal system didn't believe, the police didn't believe, the banks didn't believe, doctors was the crying, the really, the snotty crying, that type of crying. It was that crying that doctors recognize there is more to what's happening than what's presented in front of me.
Yeah. And Sandra, that is exactly what I'm going to be talking about on February 8th, is when you know what you want and you put your mind to what you want, you'll be able to build resilience against any stress, anxiety, and depression. And that is, I think, what you did. You decided, you made your way, you told him, forget it, I'm not going to listen to anybody, those books or something. This is what I want to do. And you did it. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you again, Sandra, for such a wonderful presentation. And we love you. There's a lot of love in the chat for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.